Okay, well, we're going to get started. My name is Zaharov-Reutt. I'm a technology journalist with Tech Advice on Life, and I'm going to be recording this session, and we're going to be able to watch it tomorrow on my website. But we're meant to be having a panel discussion, and our fellow panel person is Dr. Dethridge from RMIT University. She's an AI researcher, but she's not here. But we do also have Dr. Nataliya Ilyushina, who is also an RMIT research fellow. She's an economist. She works in AI and the future of work, blockchain, digital transformation, gender and wellbeing economics. She's a media commentator and a speaker. So thank you for being here today at the AI and Emerging Tech Opportunities for Government and Business.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to be your debating partner today. So look, there's a lot of excitement that AI can automate drudgery out of our lives and give us technological superpowers. But there are also genuine concerns people are anthropomorphizing machines into humans too quickly with ethical concerns abounding. So what are your views on the state of AI today?
Well, there is indeed a lot of fears going around, and most of them are coming from the lack of understanding and lack of education and digital literacy about what it is. So after a simple explanation what AI can and cannot do, it's actually a lot easier to understand and stop fearing it and utilizing it better in your business and daily life. So in my research, I'm actually looking at the how AI can help people who are employees and businesses, but most importantly, I view AI as a colleague. And what I mean by that is I consider AI complementary to an employee and to a business process rather than a substitute. And this understanding also came about from research into what occupation is and what AI does. What occupation is collection of tasks. So when you, for example, go into National Skills Commission, they break down each occupation into clusters of skills and tasks and into tasks. And AI can only automate tasks, that it cannot take over a whole occupation. Maybe yet, maybe it will do in the future, but the claim that the main fear that it will take over a job is ungrounded exactly because of that.
OpenAI has a 5-stage framework. We're currently in stage 1. They're talking about even though they're talking about reasoning, right, that's only in stage 2. They're still talking about stage 5, which is obviously years away, is when AI can run an entire organization. So it's in the distance, which is great. Now, I was just going to, how does this reflect upon using AI in business? I mean, how are businesses and governments already implementing AI, and are they doing it too fast or too slow?
So that's a great question, whether they're doing too fast or too slow. In Australia, businesses are going too slow, but it's not their fault. Businesses would love to implement AI, but they're not provided with legislative framework and with appropriate infrastructure, which we're obviously seen with the cloud strike, but that can be a separate discussion. And also, businesses, by slowing down implementing AI, what's happening is they have their staff accidentally adopting AI and sometimes not understanding what they can and cannot do, and the staff start using AI at work that was not vouched or didn't go through the management, and they can unknowingly, for example, just check customer data in simply ChatGPT, and they think this is some app or some website everyone is using everywhere, so it's perceived as safe or it's perceived as a toy, but it's not. And the danger of businesses not widely adopting AI is that many people adopt AI on both business and personal level unknowingly and using it unsafely. And the role of the government is provide that legislative support, infrastructure, and framework, And that's what's going to slow, especially in Australia.
And just to go back to your original point, people have said quite often that these days that it's not AI that's going to take your job, it's somebody using AI, being the beneficiary of AI, getting those AI superpowers. Now, we have been joined by Dr. Lisa Dethridge. She is also from RMIT. She works on responsible artificial intelligence. She's the designer, author, and media producer, an AI trainer and analyst, and a senior research fellow, and more. So, Dr. Lisa, thank you for joining us. And what are your views on the state of AI in 2024 and its future?
Gee, big question. Sorry for my tardiness. There was a schedule mix-up. The state of AI in 2024. Well, let me comment from the position of a practitioner. I work currently training AI and training AI trainers in a complex sort of cascading bureaucracy, a virtual bureaucracy where I work for a company in Palo Alto on a remote platform where we sort through a large volume of AI responses and terms in an attempt to train, which is the current verb, train the AIs and also train the humans who are training the AIs. And everyone in this cascade is under review. So the humans are being scrutinised, the machines are being scrutinised, the code is being scrutinised. And the process reminds me very much of dog training, as I see it happening on the streets of Melbourne, where I live, where there's been an explosion of pet dogs in recent years, where you see the humans running around with poopy scoopers after their dog, collecting the poop and disposing of it. And in a way, the humans are becoming AI poopy scoopers, because I spent a lot of time running around after AI, cleaning up mess, and then dealing with humans who are often a bit confused. We humans get confused in the loop, and the machines get confused in the loop. And that's the reality of that situation. It's fraught, it's very fast moving, it's done undercover, it's secretive, it's very expensive. Huge man hours go into this operation, huge personnel, I suppose I should say. And there are lots of logical kind of gaps in the process. As someone who has been involved with educating and training humans, postgraduates at a master's and PhD level for decades, I see how the major platforms who I consult with are basically trying to transfer the process that we've been using, not always successfully, to educate our postgrads, and we're now sort of treating the AI language models like university students and using a similar set of weights and measures to train them. And what happens in that process is exactly the same thing that happens in a university context, and I've taught both here and in the US, and that is that the training is often subjective, that there is actually no way of sticking to very firm and fast. We try, of course, we try to keep it fair, we try to have firm and fast measures that we can use to assess the performance of humans. But in fact, in the end, it's often subjective. And so it is with the training of the AIs. And so I'm assuming that a lot of the errors that I'm committing, I make errors all the time in the AI training context. And I observe the work of others who are making errors all the time. And as a result, the machines make errors all the time. And the errors get fed back into the system as a form of noise. And in severe cases, you'd have to see that as a form of corrupt data.
Garbage. So we've only got 6 minutes and 21 seconds left. Given what you just said, I mean, it is undeniable that AI is being inserted into everything. We just had a presentation from Google.
Yes.
It's in our phones and our computers. Every major software as a service platform is integrating AI deeply, and this is just the beginning. And we are here to talk about the emerging tech opportunities for governments and businesses,
That's great.
which is
so many opportunities.
So
no
what-
doubt
yeah.
about that. I'm optimistic about it. I encourage people to get their hands dirty. I'm just giving you a perspective on the fact that the data has to be prepared. The data needs to be prepared and prepared again. But even before you are considering your data, the invitation is for an organisation to assess themselves and ask yourselves anew, what is my mission with this company?
I will have a bit more positive perspective on that. If you have to run around after AI with a poopy scooper, then you have a wrong philosophy about using AI. So I'd like to, when I look at it as a colleague, I also suggest to look at it. You hired AI for your company as a graduate. Think about it. You would expect a graduate to make mistakes. You would expect a graduate to not know your company background. So what AI, all you need to do to be successful with AI is to understand what it can and cannot do. And then your life is going to be great because it has all the training, it has all the information in the world that it trained on, like a person who went through university, but it doesn't know your company culture, it doesn't know you. It's not used to your way of communicating and designing prompts. So when you train your AI system, you need to go through the same process. And being disheartened that it made mistakes, well, if you replaced it by a human, would it do a better job? Well, probably not. So let's just get one step at a time. It's doing a better job if you know how to deal with it. And yes, there is a problem with things like data security. You need to be, again, aware of it and train your staff to be aware of it so that they do not misuse it. So adopting it is the key, not preventing it from entering your company, because you would be surprised your company already has AI. The research we tried to do a survey we found of businesses and individuals, and we found out that most of them actually cannot tell what automation tools they're using while they are actually using them if you start pointing them out. And that's where the problem is. It's not the technology, it's the adoption, design, and legislation around it.
So correct. And so to prevent error or the adoption of an expensive platform that you perhaps don't need or perhaps doesn't fit, the first step I'm suggesting is that you reassess your own company goals. Actually, the invitation with AI is a big one. It's about, and it's partly, the role of AI is that it's going to help us through the transition that most companies, institutions, and large organisations are in right now, 21st century transition from old school silo bureaucracy to a new kind of bureaucracy. So the invitation is for you to understand your current bureaucracy, your current data setup, your current silos, and to understand how you would benefit from reconfiguring and how the tech can help you reconfigure.
That's right. And to your point about adoption in the company,
before you get to that process of reconfiguration, you need to be very clear on what your company philosophy is and how the departments within your organisation operate and how logically the technology can help you reconfigure. So it's like a preparation that the company must do before they then prepare their data, right? So philosophically, it's a slowing down of the process to consider what kind of change do I need in my company and which of the several platforms on offer is most suitable. And I suggest going for, depending on how brave you are and how much talent you've got on board in your company, go for a bespoke approach where you're using a smaller platform to construct something that's tailor-made for you, rather than having a big corporation impose a heavy top-down platform and my colleague is perfectly correct, then you need to be considering compliance and so on. But your first step is to know thyself and understand what your company needs and what you want and how you want change to occur.
With your point about top-down approach, I actually wanted to point out one of the difference with AI is decentralized. So it's very different from the previous technology. So you should never do the top-down approach with AI adoption because it's a user-driven innovation, and that's what might fail your adoption in your business. So you might be derive more benefit from talking to employees and see what fits them, and design an individual plan for AI adoption and then integrate it and drive it from the employees up. And that's actually quite controversial because most companies, most managers are actually not comfortable with that process. And that's the beauty of AI. It's cheap, decentralized, and it's also almost blurs the line with what employee and what entrepreneur is, but also democratizes and gives that power to the employee. Also more responsibility for them to design themselves as a toolkit, almost bringing us back to pre-industrial revolution times, which everyone had their own trade, like clay pot maker had this set of tools, and now we're almost returning back to it. And that philosophy, that's very important to understand when, especially if you're small and medium business, to drive the adoption that will suit your company and your employee and your corporate culture.
We're officially over time, but we cannot go without talking about the global CrowdStrike outage, because it happened on Friday, still reverberating. Planes in America, like 4 days later, still not taking off. Somebody mentioned that there's very few commercial planes over Sydney. So how do we make our obviously fragile tech vastly more resilient, fault tolerant, and able to be rapidly restored? I mean, we're going to have AI deeply embedded into our lives, as sci-fi predicts, whether in a utopian or dystopian way. And I mean, we even have grids in America failing. The AI is going to take up a lot of energy. The AI guys want to do deals with nuclear power stations. So, what's going to happen? Or are we all going to have to join an Amish community in America in the future?
Not at all. I have a totally economist perspective and pro-technology. It's not the technology that's failed. It's ACCC failed, that completely overseen that we had a Texas-based company having 30%, more than 30% of a cybersecurity and endpoint protection market in Australia. How did that happen? Where was the competition? And was there enough environment for small businesses to grow in that space to provide the competition and the choice of the suppliers? So these are my questions to that situation.
Dr. Ilyushina, over time, what's your response?
I do agree fully. I think it's time that we look at ownership and control legislation in this country, and that we need to be supporting local industry, both AI and cybersecurity, and that there's an opportunity actually for Australia to take the lead. Our industry tends to follow along with the American example, much as our politicians do. But I think there's a great opportunity, especially for small and medium business, I really agree, to aggressively pursue tech solutions, and in a positive way to use AI to reconfigure. As I said before, it's an invitation to change, not for business as usual.
And again, noting that we're over time, Lisa, what are your final thoughts and messages to the crowd? And I'll come to you after that.
I think that, that I am encouraging people to get their hands dirty with AI, to explore, to get your hands on whatever free platforms you can, or subscribe to a low-cost platform and do rapid prototyping. Test out a number of approaches inside your own shop to see what works and what doesn't, fail and fail again, get a feel for it, and then consider where you're going to be making large investment, and to resist the overture of large platforms who are in a hype cycle currently.
Nataliya?
I think the main thing is understanding that digital literacy is critical. Digital infrastructure is becoming more important than roads and electricity supply at the moment, is critical to understand and adopt. and that also should drive the awareness towards the government empowering businesses to move forward with AI adoption so we don't fall behind. So these are my thoughts.
Dr. Lisa Dethridge from RMIT University and Dr. Nataliya Ilyushina also from RMIT University. Thank you so much for your time.